going to explain the autobiographical expository essay to you today. So on the task sheet, you'll see a big paragraph that gives you all the details that you need to address in your essay. It's going to be easier for me if I break it down into individual sections, and what you'll notice is that those sections are really what you need each paragraph to be about. So the task itself is based at informing your audience at the details regarding the life and achievements of the particular person. So really that's the overall aim of what you're being asked to do in this essay, is that you're telling us about the person that you've read the book about. So in order to do that, you must examine the effect they have had on the social and cultural face of society. So in other words, your chosen person may have had a positive or negative influence on society. So after you've given us a little bit of information about the details of this person's life, so who are they, what are they famous for, what achievements have they done, if they've had a negative impact on society, you need to talk about why that actually is. And then down here you're going to mention what influence your person has had on society as a whole. If your person isn't particularly famous, you can just comment on the impact that your person has had on those around them. Now this next section of the task is asking you to examine the socio-historical and socio-cultural context of that person's fame and notoriety. The word notoriety means what someone is known for. Now this particular section proves to be the most difficult, because what you're needing to do is look a little bit deeper at your person, and you're going to have to talk about how the person's historical context, the culture that they live in, the society that they're a part of, how that has influenced why this person is famous. So what that means is your person is famous for a reason, and that is depending on who is around them, what society believes. If they were famous a long time ago, was society or the culture different at that time, and did that affect their fame or notoriety? For example, if I were looking at Miley Cyrus, and I could talk about the fact that her socio-cultural context, which is modern day, it's right now, the context that she is famous in has an impact on just how famous she actually is. So because teenagers today, in her socio-cultural context, admire people who are strong, outspoken, and people that push the boundaries, that social belief affects her fame and makes her more famous. So they're the kind of things that you need to think deeply about in this particular section, but you might need to have a bit of a discussion with me about your person to help clarify their context. Now this next section here is more of a textual analysis, where you examine how the autobiography you read constructs the person. So in that one, you're going to be talking about how the text itself has actually constructed this person. So how do they want to be seen? What language have they used? What information have they included? How have they represented themselves to the reader? And you're going to use lots of textual examples in that section to support how they've constructed themselves. The next aspect, you're strongly encouraged to use other sources in which to present your readings of your chosen person. So that means that there might be magazine articles, 60-minute interviews, another book about that person, and what you're going to talk about is how perhaps it contrasts with the book you read, or if the person we see in the media, in interviews and on magazine front pages, is any different to the person that we see in their autobiography, and if they represent themselves differently. The last thing is, you'll notice it says you may choose. So it doesn't mean you have to, but you may choose to compare how other texts have constructed that person with how your text constructed them. So that's really linked to the one above it, where you're going to be looking at how other texts can structure a person, and you might have time or words to do a little analysis of another text and how it represents them, and then contrast it to yours. Now if you have any questions, you can read back through that again. Make sure you ask me